I don't recall exactly where I finished up on School Board 4, but in any case, I'd like to move on to the my argument for the idea that woke ideology is the ultimate, I think, in white supremacy. Um, and it comes down to the question of free will. We live in a deterministic world, and our brains are physical things, and everything that happens in the universe is determined by previous things that happened in the universe. So your behavior is a result of your genetics and your conditioning and your environment, past environment and current environment, the ideas that you've been put into your head and the ideas that haven't been put into your head. And this is a very good explanation for why people behave the way that they do. There's no question about that. If you've been raised in a situation where you've got 3 or 4 brothers and sisters and each one of them has a different father, and there's crime and violence all around, then that is going to determine your behavior. But somehow, and this is really from Christianity, we have the idea that people can rise above that. This is why they can participate in democracy, because they're capable of appreciating the difference between good and evil. They have the ability to choose, and therefore are responsible for their behavior. There's no excuse there made in the Christian thought system for, oh, maybe the reason that he behaves badly is because of his environment. Christianity is wrong. But I don't happen to believe in free will. I don't really see how you can be a scientist and believe in free will, and the illusion is maintained by the feeling that we think that we can choose. So you go through a process, you know something is evil or good, and you go through a process of deciding, and you feel that you've made a choice. And I can't deny that either. Okay, so the way in which woke ideology is the ultimate in white supremacy is that excuse is extended, the excuse of environment, current and past, is used as an excuse for black and brown people more than it is for whites. So an example of that would be the way that in the residential school system debates, they know that Catholic nuns behave badly, and they know that the students that came out of those schools behave badly. But the rationale seems to be that the students that came from the school behave badly because they were treated badly, and nobody's bothering to look back behind that at the really obvious fact that the Catholic nuns that taught at those schools were definitely treated badly as well. There wasn't that much difference between the way that Aboriginal kids and white kids were treated in the Catholic school system in Canada. So if the buck stops with the white person, if the white people are expected to go, no, you can rise up above your conditioning and behave morally, the ultimate responsibility is on them and not on people of color. The only way that you could make that argument is by assuming that white people are superior to people of color. This isn't extended to Hindus, and it isn't extended to Chinese. They're just as responsible, I think, for the behavior as whites, held to the same standard. The ones that aren't are in the North America, are blacks and Latinos, I would say. from the Athenian system, you got the instinctual self. You've got, I'm sorry, this isn't the, yeah, the Athenian system. You've got the instinctual self that's in their way of thinking is mostly about aggressive instincts, but people have all kinds of nurturing instincts as well. Women have a very strong nurturing instinct towards their young children. That's an instinct. It's a totally positive thing. But in the Athenian model, I think that when they talk about instincts, they're mostly talking about aggressive instincts. So it's an aggressive instinct when you go and conk somebody on the head and steal their purse. And not only are the people who conk each other, okay, let's admit it, black people very often, the ratio is 15 to 1. 15 times, a black person is 15 times more likely to commit an act of violence towards a white person than vice versa in the United States. And they're not expected to rise above their environment and become compassionate or kind or loving. And they're not expected to rise above even that to say, well, maybe in this situation it's appropriate and in another situation it's not appropriate. So the woke system essentially is wrong because it holds people to that lower standard. And the problem is that if you hold people to that lower standard, it's more likely that they're going to get stuck there. And not only are they going to get stuck on a kind of an instinctual level, but we've taught them to think that the anger that motivates their violence is justified. And that brings us back around to a white supremacist attitude too, that assumes that we can survive that. We're the only ones who have risen above ourselves so much that we seek our own extinction. That's a pretty incredible thing for a race to see that, oh my God, it's been so evil that it would be better if we became extinct either through breeding or not having children. People think that's going to bring an advance to the world. So it's a kind of a masochistic. It's masochistic on one level and it's supremacist on another. So that's where I'm going to say I haven't figured this out. Probably been working on this sort of question. I think all of us have been working on this kind of question our entire lives, but it's a question of just how responsible is a person. And that's the limit of my understanding. How the masochism can exist simultaneously with the supremacism, I don't get it. That's where my understanding reaches its limit. I don't get it.